Cool. It's confusing me. Okay, you guys, I want to get started. I'm so pumped for tonight. I mean, this is, Monday night, such a good way that we always, kick off our week. And tonight we have one of our very own, kind of a guest, but really just one of us, a teammate, beautiful friend, leader within Impact Makers, Sonia Mafus. I'm so happy to have you.
I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah. Okay. And tell us all, because I said Mafus, but now I feel like, is that correct?
Yes. You don't have to pause. It's Mafus.
Mafus. I want to make sure I say it right. Yeah, I know. Cause I was like, I thought I had the correct, syllable, but awesome. Thank you for that. And she is down in the San Diego area. You guys, when I really sit and I think about like, how can we continue to bring value to these Monday night calls? Because the goal of Monday nights is to set yourself up for the week, get your mind right, maybe learn some skills, learn a little nugget that you can take away, pour belief, build belief so that you can crush your week. There is like no one other than bringing Sonia on here that I thought would just be perfect at this time in this season for you guys. So I'm so thrilled that she's here with us. We, of course, as usual, we chatted on Friday. Whenever we call each other, it's like a nice hour-long phone call, and we have like so much to catch up on. It's so fun. And I will say that is just one of those amazing effects of this business is finding those like-minded people that you just feel are your battle buddies and that you just feel are the people that you get to grow with in life and beyond, business and life and beyond. So Sonia, I'm so glad you're here. We first initially met at a UIA. I believe it was in Atlanta. I can remember it.
No, it actually was Arizona. Wait, actually, I don't even know. I don't even know where we were, but it was my first UIA.
It actually could have been Arizona. I went to did you go to Atlanta?
Yes.
And maybe we met it. Maybe I can picture the meeting in the row sitting next to you. Maybe that was whichever one of those two was first, either the Phoenix one or the Atlanta one.
Yeah.
But there is a UIA coming up next month, or early November. Know that if you choose to go, you could meet, a Sonia, you could meet a battle buddy, you could meet a friend for life. Honestly, like you just never know. Or yeah, Chris said, anyone going to Toronto, drop in the chat if you have plans for UIA. I do. I know Lindsay does. Chris, yes. Okay, great. Drop it in the chat.
Really, when I think about like the events where I really have made like deep, meaningful friendships, it really is always UIA. Yeah. That's where you get like really like deep and honest and raw, So yes, UIA. Totally. For sure. Yes. Very important.
For sure. Yeah. And I mean, you really at UIA, we spend time actually working on things together. It's not just listening to the stage talking at us, but actually like workshop style. So that's so cool. I love that. Sonia, do you want to start with sharing your story? Just, how you got started on Isogenics, specifically the business, how you got started?
Yeah. So I'm looking around and I think most of you know my story, but just in case, to review. So I've been with Isogenics for 7 years. And what was going on in my life 7 years ago is I was a tired mom of a 2-year-old baby Lucas and baby Leo at the time. He's 9 now. And I was struggling to lose those last 15, 20 pounds, even though I was doing all the right things. Meal prepping. I've been a Bikram yoga, hot yoga girl, literally like since I was like 24. So I worked out really hard. I ate clean. I meal prepped, all the things. And I just did not feel good in this new mom body of mine. And it was so frustrating because I was having no fun with food and still not feeling good in my body. And I was working as a school psychologist at the time, a career that I loved, but a career that was never going to give me the lifestyle that I wanted as a mom. So at this point in my life with a 2-year-old, I was feeling an urge to want to be home with Leo more, to have more flexibility, to have more choices. I mean, I think about this all the time, like women, moms, like we don't know how we're going to feel until you have a child, right? Like I was so career driven and I was that poster child of school psychology. And I thought, oh, I'm going to have this baby. And in 6 weeks, I'm going to go back to work and I will never be one of those stay-at-home moms. Like I really believe that. And then I saw Leo's beautiful face at the hospital. And I was like, oh my God, I can never leave you. And I never thought I was going to feel like that. And I know not everyone feels that way, but some do, some don't. At the end of the day, I think women should have a choice and should have this option. If your heart desire is to want to be home with your baby, I hope that you can find a way to do that and still contribute financially, right? So that's what was going on in my life before Isogenics. And I would lay in bed at night just thinking like I made like a wrong decision somewhere. Like I thought, I was told, first generation Mexican Cuban, go to college, go to graduate school, and you'll have the American dream. You'll have the dream life, And I remember thinking like, this is not very dreamy. I am setting the alarm for like 5 a.m. to get ready, to go to work. Most of the time I was leaving at 6:30 in the morning with a nanny that was walking in the door. Leo was still sleeping. And then if there was a crisis, I worked at a high school, so there was always a crisis. Then I was there for 12 hours. And there were days that I would literally get home and see Leo for maybe 30 minutes. And then it was bedtime. And I know Lindsay can relate to me. I can see her shaking her head. And Allison, I know you can too. And I literally would just be like, I can't do this. Like this, why did I even have a child if I'm going to see him for 30 minutes? And then not to mention like writing that check to a nanny every day. It's like, is it even worth it for me to go to work? Like what's happening, right? So these were all the things that were going on. Isogenics came into my life via my best friend, Catherine. Probably every single one of you was introduced to Isogenics by a friend. And she was a product user. I mean, she literally started 2 weeks before me, you guys. So this isn't like my friend that was trying to convince me to do some business with her. This is literally my best friend from college. We've always done all the things together. She looked amazing in 2 weeks. And I'm the one that said, wait, what's happening here? You're like glowing. There's this like new pep in her step, that I'm like, you're way too happy to have 3 kids under 5. What's going on? And all she said was, that Isogenics thing Michelle told us about, because this had been a hot topic in our mom group at the time. And I was like, well, I want it. And she's like, I have no idea how to help you. This is real life, you guys. Like, this is really what happened. She's like, I don't know how to sign you up because I'm not doing the business. So I come over to Michelle's house to learn how, right? Kind of weird. We've all done this. I was like, that's so weird. I have to go to someone's house to buy this thing. Okay. So I go to Michelle's house, which thank God, because Laura Stevens was there and could share the business model and the business opportunity, because otherwise it was the blind leading the blind over here in San Diego. We literally all started within 2 weeks from each other. So I go to this event, you guys, and like literally I was so ready to buy the nutrition because I felt so miserable in my body. Like I would have just given my credit card to someone. I didn't need a sales pitch or anything. But thank God that I went to this presentation, right? Because otherwise I wouldn't know what I wouldn't know. So I sat there and I see, Laura shares her isogenic story and I see her map out the comp plan. And I just remember thinking like, what are we talking about here? Like, I just want to lose 15 pounds. This girl's talking about becoming an Isogenics millionaire and watching her best friend Kelly become an Isogenics millionaire. And you guys, my head was just like spinning because I was so confused by it all. And honestly, I just kept thinking, again, I have made a wrong turn in life at some point, that I am a school psychologist. I worked really hard for this career. My husband's an attorney, and this girl selling shakes making $1 million. Like, just being very honest, right? Um, didn't say that. I mean, I didn't express any interest to anyone. In fact, Laura will tell you I was probably one of the hardest people to bring in the business, because I questioned everything. But I was also super snooty about it. I mean, I really was like, I am a school psychologist. My husband's an attorney. We have real jobs. We are not going to sell shakes, you crazy shake lady. And that, I mean, like, who can say like they thought they were too good for network marketing, right? Like, yes, no, I mean, Lindsay, come on, you totally thought you were too good for network marketing, right? We went to college and graduate school and medical school, for God's sakes. Like, of course we thought we were too good for network marketing. So went home, bought the value pack, for my husband, bought 2 value packs, didn't even ask my husband's permission. That's not how we roll here. I buy what I want. And I come home and I'm like, you're doing this thing and I'm doing this thing. And Laura's is about to be an Isogenics millionaire. And he's looking at me like, what party did you go to? Like, how much wine did you drink that you thought it was a good idea to sign up for this thing? He did say, like, oh, sounds like a pyramid scheme, which I was like, I don't even know what that means, but okay. So we started with the value pack. And at that point, I really was only focused on the nutrition, but definitely my wheels, I am a money girl. I love money. So my wheels were definitely turning. Like, could this really be a thing? And I mean, God, I just looked at Laura, and can we all say that Laura's like the girl next door, right? Like, Laura Stevens is the girl next door. She really is, right? She's like America's sweetheart. And so I just kept thinking, gosh, if she figured this thing out, I think I can do something here. I think I can figure it out too, right? So started value pack, and we had amazing results, you guys. Not the first cleanse day. I mean, the first cleanse day, I was ready to kill Catherine. Rich was ready to kill me. Like, that was not pretty. But by day 5, Rich and I both woke up feeling like we swallowed a rainbow. We felt so good. Within 2 weeks, you guys, I was just thinking about this because I was just having this conversation with someone on Friday night. Sometimes you forget that beginning part, right? But you guys, within 2 weeks of starting Isogenics, I dropped 15 pounds and 2 dress sizes, going from a size 8 to a size 4. Like, that is massive for a woman who's been meal prepping, going to Bikram yoga, doing all the things every day for the last 2 years, and nothing has worked. And then to have those kinds of results in 2 weeks, like, nothing else had worked. So of course I was so excited about it, right? So what happened next? Well, that weekend also was my Leo's 2nd birthday party. So I had all my friends at Leo's 2nd birthday party, and all of a sudden I'm fitting into little shorts that I haven't worn in 2 years. What happens? Everybody asked, what's going on here? You look great. What did Rich do? All of a sudden, Rich had all this energy. What's happening? Rich seems much happier. And that is how that started, you guys. Like, people asking me, something's different. What are you doing? Got me to think back at what Laura said. And I started to think, gosh, I think there might be something here. Like, if I feel so uncomfortable in my mom body, how many of my friends feel the same way? How many of my friends are looking for something, right? So that's when the wheels started to turn. And so at first it was organically, right? But then also thinking back on the conversation that Laura had shared with me, and then we did do our research, right? Like, as we learned more about Isogenics. The other thing that I will say, you guys, because I was thinking a lot about this in preparation for the call. So Laura Stevens met me at that party, and you, like, think about just like the power of a third party validation, right? Like, Catherine had only been doing it 2 weeks before me, and Michelle too. Like Catherine and Michelle only started 2 weeks before me. Like none of us knew what we were doing. Like how could I expect that Catherine would know what to do or that Michelle would know what to do, right? But what was smart about the situation is Laura was there basically training Michelle how to do a party. But Laura is like the master connector at connecting with everybody in the room. She became Facebook friends with every single one of us. There was probably 10 of us, 10 new women. And Laura became Facebook friends with all of us. And she added all of us to Team Anchored, the support page, and Team Anchored Biz. So for those next like few weeks, as I'm falling in love with Isagenix and as I'm having these amazing results, I'm also watching all these things on Team Anchored and on Team Anchored Biz. And I'm watching Laura live her life on social media. And that did continue to basically follow up with me, right? Because then I was like, well, and now it's not just Laura. I remember Laura at some point writing something about Lindsay Hofber and Corey. And I'm like, they're doctors and they're making this business work for them. So then I related to their story, right? So I wanted to bring up like those things where, you know, if you're ever in a situation where you're helping someone, whether it's a three-way call or at a party, making those connections with everyone, because think about it, even if Catherine and Michelle fell off and never did anything with Isagenix, Laura could just work with me and really build something there, right? And how many of us have people like that we probably never connected with, that we met and we just assumed the Michelle or the Catherine in between will take care of them. And then if they don't, now you've lost this connection, right? That's one of the things I think Laura is brilliant at. She is really good at making those connections and really like taking people under her wing and saying like, let's go, let's run, right? So did the researched the company, researched the compensation plan. It was actually my husband who really understood the business and loved the residual income component. It was the Jen Smith compensation video that did it. Allison and I were talking about that on Friday. We're like, how many of us, I mean, I'd love if you guys would just raise your hand if you came in on White Cleanse and Jen Smith compensation video. Like, I mean, do we need a campaign to just get back to White Cleanse and the Jen Smith compensation video? It is the cheesiest compensation video. It is old. It's not sexy at all. I call it like Isagenix Comp Plan for Dummies, but it really paints the picture. And it's like, if you watch that and you're not excited, I think you don't know math. I mean, like really, like maybe you should go take a math class. I don't mean to offend anyone, but I mean, it's like you watch that video and like, it's like Rich always says, everything's a math equation. And it's so true. Like you watch that Jen Smith compensation video and you see the math and the compound effect around our compensation plan. Like someone said, are you still using it? Am I still using the Jen Smith compensation video? I think I should.
Well, I think what that video does I mean, for sure, watching her do it, it's easy to be like, if this girl can do it, I can do this. I mean, and I'm sure she's a wonderful human being, but it's like, you sit there and you watch it.
Millionaire like 6 months ago, by the way.
That's so awesome.
No, I'm sorry. That was Mary Evans. Sorry. Jen Smith was a long time ago. Yeah. Mary Evans just hit Isagenix Millionaire, right? Lindsay, like last year, I think. Oh, you don't remember.
I remember seeing it come out. That's amazing. Yes.
Yeah. Sure. So it was the Jen Smith compensation video. And so once we got it and once I committed, it was ignorance on fire. I had no idea what I was doing, but here's the things that I will tell you I was doing every day. I was on isagenixbusiness.com all the time. Like if there was ever a moment that I had that I could get on isagenixbusiness.com, I was like just going through all the things and all the videos. I was listening to Isagenix podcasts all the time on my way to work, on my way from work. I was still working as a school psychologist when I was first building. Did not think I had any extra time, but somehow found it, right? And if you came within 6 feet of me, you were probably going to sign up for Isagenix. Because I was so excited and so convicted. And it really was like, you need Isagenix, you need Isagenix, everybody needs Isagenix. We're all going to make money, that kind of excitement. And especially in the beginning, it is so contagious to be with someone who's so excited about it. And I know that definitely set the foundation. And then within 6 months, I reached a level in Isagenix that did replace my income. Now, that is not typical. That's not the norm, but that is my reality. It is possible. And some of us on this call have been able to do that. So at that point, I walked away from my career, and I've been with Isagenix now for 7 years. I've always earned more money in Isagenix than I would have if I went to work as a school psychologist every day, even in periods when I haven't worked a whole lot. I mean, that's the reality. There have been stages in Isagenix when I have put in a lot of time and effort. And then there have been times when I have been on cruise control because life is happening, or I want to enjoy this particular stage of my kids' lives. And nowhere else can you decide, you know what, I think I'm going to stop working for 6 months and still have money coming in that is more than if you were going to work every day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. Does anybody else know of anywhere else where you can do that?
No.
Yeah.
And I mean, that is something you and I have talked about, in seasons where you'll be like, and I know one big thing you have always said is, 90 minutes a day. Give me, if you had 90 minutes a day. So 90 minutes a day, really, what's that? That's like 10 hours a week. And so we have talked about, 10 hours a week, even if you're doing it 20 hours a week, if you're looking at the residual and dividing it by the hours spent, especially after you get the plane off the ground, especially after you really create duplication, which I know you're so good at. It's easy to say, where else could I make this sort of like hourly for the time I'm putting in? And I know that that's like the shiny object on the other side. So I don't want to discount all of the work that it takes to get there. But I know you and I also we on Friday talked a little bit, if you want to share with them a little bit about so when Rich was first going to stuff and how he was able to apply principles to his, like entrepreneurship and mindset to his business, maybe talk a little bit about that. And then also you mentioned the book, The Latte Factor.
Yeah.
Those two things.
So that was the other thing that Allison and I were talking about. I mean, we're talking about, going back 7 years to when we got started with Isagenix. Rich was also in a stage of building his law firm and us putting all of our money back into his law firm. I mean, that's the reality, right? When you're building a business, you're putting a lot of your own money back into it. It's like you're making money and then you're putting most of it back into that type of business, right? And Isagenix and the training, the personal development that we got here, I know 100% impacted him and his business and how he has built his law firm. I think it opened up both of our minds. And I think Lindsay and Corey could probably relate to even a lot of what they do in their life. Both. I mean, Corey was probably also impacted by the Isagenix lifestyle and thinking, right? And I think we just reached a point where when we started Isagenix, we thought we were doing pretty well. We were like, okay, we're starting to reach some financial independence. We felt pretty good about our income. And even though we were two busy professionals, we didn't know any better. We thought that success is two busy professionals, right? I mean, that's the reality. Attorneys, psychologists, yeah, we're working 60, 80 hours a week, but hey, we're making money. That's life, right? So the Isagenix way of thinking and thinking about leveraging a team and leveraging and finding a way to make residual income, I know not only has it impacted in me building an Isagenix business, but I really believe it has impacted Rich in his business. He's been able to grow his law firm tremendously from just California to now being in 36 states nationally. And it was that mindset of like bigger, more people, a bigger team, having leveraging a team, right? Like he can only do so much, but what happens when he has 20 attorneys working for him? What happens when he has a staff of over 100 working for him? He's leveraging that same type of team mentality, right? So now, I mean, we both work from home. Rich has been home with me for since COVID started for 2 years. He's still an attorney. He loves his law firm. He will do it forever. I mean, he has built his own dream business, right? But our lifestyle, even for him being an attorney, it's just so different. And it's because our thinking and our priorities and how we value time is everything. And so we decide how we want to live our lives. And then everything else just kind of, we find a way to make that work.
Yeah, that is so, that, I mean, it's so inspiring. It's so good. It's so inspiring. And I think of so many attorney friends who do not have that reality at all, at all.
Yeah.
And the whole like burnout culture, the burnout mentality versus the like, what if? So, and, and then we were also talking about that book, The Latte Factor, and just like investing and what if, especially when you're building and you're like 1 cycle or 2 cycles. And I saw Zach Slobin posted today, like, when you appreciate what you have appreciates, like it goes up in value. So being grateful for the 1 cycle, being grateful for the 2. And what we were talking about, like, tell them a little bit about the concept of that book.
Yeah. So I wanted to share 2 books that I love, you guys. The first one is the one that Allison mentions, called The Latte Factor. It just gets you to like think about money in such a different way, and how a little bit can go a long way if you're smart and disciplined about it, and if you invest it properly. And I wanted to talk about in relationship to cycles, right? So the Latte Factor is one. The other one that I love is Smart Women Finish Rich. I don't know if you guys have ever read that one. This is another book that it's the same author. Love them both, highly recommend them. But in thinking about the Latte Factor, because the whole idea about the Latte Factor is basically like, if you can afford to buy yourself a latte every day, then you can afford to become you can afford to become a millionaire. So it's like, if you can afford $5 a day, you can eventually become a millionaire. And obviously there's a lot of math involved, but I wanted to say, as far as Isagenix goes. So I shared my story. I know I shared some big money income, but let's just talk about anybody can earn 1 cycle per week. Anybody, like literally anybody. Like if you are breathing, you can earn 1 cycle per week. I really believe that. And you can work your way up to 5 cycles per week. So 1 cycle per week, what would that be? So that would be 5410 per week times 365 days. That would be 2,818 per year. Okay, so almost $3,000. So in the Latte Factor, I love this chart. I refer to it all the time. So there's this, it's like page 133. I mean, just to like give you like an idea, it literally tells you like, if you invested $2,000 a year, what would that be 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now? And of course, this would be usually in a mutual fund that would give you back a 10% rate, okay? And these are the types of things that you want to talk to a bank or a financial advisor about. I'm definitely not a financial advisor. I just love money and I love to think about money. So let's get back to that 1 cycle per week. So 1 cycle per week, we said 2,800 a year. That's In 10 years, that would be 28,000. Let's say that you never put anything else into that account, just like 10 years in isogenics, 1 cycle per week. And then for whatever reason, you stop doing isogenics. I don't know why you do that, but you stop doing it. That 28,000, if it sat there in a mutual fund and you never touched it, in 10 years would be 65,000. In 20 years would be 169,000. In 30 years, 439,000, $500,000. In 40 years, $1 million. From 1 cycle per week for 10 years. That's very easy to do, right? Now, let's say 5 cycles. This math is even faster. So 5 cycles per week, that's 270 per week, which ends up being 14,000 for the year. Let's say that you only do isogenics for 2 years. You're one of those people that does it for 2 years and then we're like, where did that person go? Like, they were making money. It's very confusing. It is so confusing. Did you watch the Jen Smith compensation video? So let me repeat that, okay? 5 cycles per week, that's $270 per week. That's 14,000 per year times 2 years. That's 28,000. And then you stop ordering isogenics, which means you stop making money with isogenics. But even then, if that 28,000 sat in a mutual fund that is giving you back 10% back, in 10 years, it would be 65,000. The math is the same. It's just 10 years versus 2 years. In 10 years, that 28,000 would be 65,000. In 20 years, it would be 169,000. In 30 years, 439, almost $500,000. In 40 years, $1 million. Like, it's crazy math.
Yeah.
These are the things that keep me up at night, you guys. I feel like my brain's just like a math calculator, like all the time thinking about this. And this is why I'm so confused when people stop or like even like not appreciating the 1 cycle or the 5 cycles. And some of these people are sometimes literally doing nothing. Like, they've reached year 4. I mean, gosh, Lindsay and I know people making $10,000 a month doing nothing and like being mad at isogenics. It's very confusing, right? It's like, it's math, it's numbers. If you're one of those people that's like, I don't need isogenics, I don't need extra income, okay, then like put it in a mutual fund and just let it grow, right? So yes, this latte factor and smart women finish rich. Those are the things.
So good. I mean, and you guys, as you sit here and we listen to Sonia. Sonia is a savvy person, right? She's one of those who, I mean, really, like, who, and you don't have to raise your hand, but who would have Sonia in their network and would be like intimidated to reach out to her about it, or would be potentially like, oh gosh, she's got her life figured out. You know, think of the before Sonia. Oh, they're a lawyer and a psychologist. They don't need this. You know, like, we make up these stories about people, but she's the exact type of person who gets it. She's the exact type of person who doesn't need her enrolling sponsor to push her and to drag her and to say it, because she's like, no, like, she cares about it beyond what her enrolling sponsor and their enrolling sponsor say. And yeah, to her point, I mean, how often are we seeing the carpets of the people on our team, getting in their living rooms, digging down and saying, who is here that might actually want to do the work, you know, because just because her enrolling sponsor didn't want to doesn't mean that Sonia doesn't get it, and that she and her husband have been so completely blessed by this opportunity and can literally sit here, you know, even if she's already successful people are looking for more success. They're attracted to more success. I mean, I'm just, every time we talk, I'm fired up. Friday I was fired up. Now I am again. So I love it. What is like one like, I don't know, final parting, like wisdom, like in a season of growth that you have had, what is the thing, for someone who's like, okay, but like, I really get it, but I want to do this. I want to run. I want to get there. Like, talk about just like a major season of growth. What is it that you did? What's your best advice?
I mean, you guys really, if you want to grow every week, you need to have a goal about how many new people you're going to share your isogenic story with. You're going to share the comp plan with, you're going to share your vision with. I mean, 100%, I'll tell you, if you feel stuck in isogenics, if you call me and you say, Sonia, I don't know what to do, I'm stuck. The first thing I'm going to ask you is, how many new people did you share your isogenic story with this week? And usually the answer is, I haven't shared isogenics in months with anybody new. And so it's just finding a way. And like, listen, I've been here for 7 years. There have been times when I have been like all in, running, you get in front of me, you're going to do isogenics whether you like it or not. And there have also been seasons where I have really been on cruise control, but I've always maintained a level of consistency. Okay. Like, for example, right now, no secret that I've been on cruise control pretty much all of 2022. If you know me at all, if you follow me on social media, I've been kind of hanging out, right? So someone might feel like, gosh, is Sonia working? What, is she still building? You better believe it. I'm still, but what does that look like now? Right now in my life, I have always maintained executive status. I have never, even in 2022, when I have been in cruise control this year, because I'm hanging out with my 4-year-old who's about to be, well, now he's in school full time, but I was really enjoying that time with him. Never, not even for one day, did I lose executive status. So that is a non-negotiable. Never did I miss having at least 2 new enrollments per month, because you better believe I'm getting that executive lifestyle bonus because I like money, $750 to $1,000 extra. And I'm always working on the leader in action formula. So even in cruise control, even if you don't see me actively on social media as I have in the past, those 3 things are still happening. I'm still enrolling my 2+ people per month. I'm always maintaining executive status, and I'm always filling out my leader in action formula. So to answer Allison's question, find your non-negotiables. Like, in whatever season you're at, if you're going to maintain some level of consistency here, what are your non-negotiables? And then, for example, Allison, it was so funny because after we spoke, I mean, Allison and I had a big, long conversation on Friday. I was on my way to a charity event. I was like, Allison, I gotta go. I have to be at a charity event in like an hour. You guys, without even trying, I mean, what's the question that people are going to ask? As soon as I got in the car, I was in a car with 2 women I don't know. My friend Bonnie's who brought me. How do you know each other? Bonnie introduces me. Bonnie, because she's such a good friend, speaks me up. She's like, we used to be school psychologists, but now Sonia has this fabulous isogenics business. Right away, the woman next to me is like, I love network marketing. Tell me all about it. Like, all right, then, here we go. I was not expecting that. And literally, we talked about isogenics all day long. She kept telling all her friends, oh, network marketing is amazing. And she's like, can I be on your team? And I'm like, of course. Then we get to the charity event, and it was this like celebrity waiters theme. So they had like local celebrities. So one of them was the sports anchor for a local station. He sits in front of this girl who wants to be on my isogenics team and me, and he flat out tells me that he hates his job and would never recommend it to anybody. And the other girl's like, well, you need to talk to her. I'm going to get on her isogenics team. Maybe you should join us. So here we are, these 2 new people, but that only happens if you open your mouth and share your isogenic story, share the comp plan. I mapped out the comp plan on a napkin for both of them right there and then, right? So, I mean, who knows what will happen, but it's just literally you go through life, just share your isogenic story, share your passion, share the business model and the comp plan. Some will, some won't. And then you have to have no attachment to the outcome. That's the other thing that I would end with, like literally no attachment. I'm at a point where like I will care as much as you care. Like that's just it. Like if you want to be here and you care, I care. If you don't want to be here and you don't care, then I don't care. Like that's just it. I remember Zach Slobin. This always, I mean, the Slobins have been such amazing mentors for me because I used to live in San Diego. And I never forget this. I remember Zach Slobin saying, what we do is no different than a waitress going around and saying, would you like some coffee? And that, like, you know, like, let's imagine this at a cafe. A waitress is going, hi, would you like some coffee? Would you like some coffee? Some will say yes, some will say no. Never does the waitress say, oh, I'm terrible about this. I'm terrible at this. The last 5 tables told me they don't want coffee. I must not be good at serving coffee. Of course not. That would be so silly, right? And that's literally the same here, you guys. Like you just have to have no attachment. I get excited about some, you know, especially like a fun new person that I'd love to work with, but you have to learn to just have no attachment around it. You know, you do your best to show the opportunity. I know that it will change their lives, but I can't force anyone to do it.
That is so good. Yes, I mean, it's so good. That's so true. And I love, I mean, sharing with new people. Clearly you're like, I hope, and you're having fun with it, right? You're kind of laughing about this person in the car next to me told me she loves network marketing. And then she was telling this other guy recruiting him to our team. Like your energy around it is so happy and light and joyful, and people are connected to that. And also your baseline, you're like, I'm on cruise control, but your baseline, because I would also say revisit what your baseline, you know, because her baseline, staying executive, leader in action, 2 people a month. I mean, that's, she's not even saying she's like, you know, racing towards a goal or, you know, like running. So that's not her running. So I would say evaluate what's, you know, what's your baseline, what is running, because running looks like a whole different ballgame, right? A running season. So.
Oh, a running season is like, how many executives am I going to make these next 90 days?
Yeah. So hopefully it just helps you like think a little bit bigger too about how every one of us is going about our businesses. So good, Sonia. So much value. Always. I mean, we could go on, but yes. Give people back the rest of their evenings. Thank you for being here. You guys drop some love for Sonia in the chat. Of course, you know, she's a part of our team. She's a part of our culture. She loves all of you, is here, you know, for you as well. And I know just everyone just appreciates you so much and the value that you bring.
Thank you, Allison. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Bye, everyone. We love you. Bye.